Get ready to explore the mind's hidden depths today, because we're diving into the world of Carl Jung and his analytical psychology. Forget what you think you know about the typical therapist on a couch. Jung was a different breed. We're talking dreams, symbolism, the occult. He dove headfirst into areas most psychologists at the time wouldn't touch.
What makes Jung so fascinating is that he wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo. He even broke away from his mentor, Freud, to explore those uncharted territories of the human psyche.
Exactly. This wasn't just some academic theory for him either. Imagine this. A childhood surrounded by not one, not two, but 10 pastors in his family. Talk about an upbringing steeped in the meaning of the unseen world. But here's the twist, his mother's side of the family, deeply rooted in the occult. It's like he had these two opposing forces shaping his worldview from day one.
And that duality, those seemingly contradictory influences, are crucial to understanding why Jung went on to develop such groundbreaking ideas. He didn't just study the mind, he lived a life that made him question the very nature of reality.
Okay, so we have this rebellious, curious mind grappling with profound questions about life, death, and the universe. Where does he even begin?
His own experiences, particularly those early ones, deeply influenced his thinking. The death of his sibling, a separation from his mother, these events left a mark and likely shaped his understanding of how profound, even traumatic experiences can impact our development.
It's almost as if those early encounters with loss and the mysteries of life primed him to look beyond the surface, wouldn't you say?
Precisely, and this is where his fascination with dreams comes in. Even as a child, he had vivid dreams, even sensing different personalities within himself. Now, this might sound unusual, but think about it. Haven't you ever felt like different parts of yourself come out depending on the situation or who you're with?
Absolutely. It's like we all have these multiple facets to our personalities.
Exactly. Jung believed these weren't just fleeting emotions, but aspects of a deeper, richer self that exists beyond our everyday awareness. This led him to explore the idea of the unconscious, a concept he took even further than Freud.
Okay, so Freud gave us the unconscious mind, which was revolutionary in itself. How does Jung's concept differ? What's he adding to the equation?
Jung agreed with Freud that we have a personal unconscious, a reservoir of our own repressed thoughts and experiences. But Jung argued there's another, even deeper layer that we all share, what he called the collective unconscious.
This is where it gets really mind-blowing. So we're not just talking about our own individual baggage,
Yeah.
but something more universal.
Exactly. Imagine a wellspring of inherited experiences, primal instincts, and universal symbols shared by all of humanity. That's the collective unconscious. It's like a vast library of human experience passed down through generations, shaping our perceptions, reactions, and even our dreams.
It's almost like a hidden blueprint influencing how we see the world, even if we're not consciously aware of it.
Precisely. And within this collective unconscious reside powerful archetypes, universal, archaic patterns of thought and behavior that have been with us since the dawn of time.
Okay, archetypes. Now, we've heard that term thrown around a lot. What's Jung's specific take on them, and why are they so important in understanding the human psyche?
Think of archetypes not as literal figures, but more like blueprints or predispositions residing in our collective unconscious. They're not fully formed images, but rather potentials that are activated by our experiences and expressed through our behaviors, dreams, and even our cultural myths.
So, we're talking about universal patterns of human experience that resonate across cultures and time periods. Do these archetypes have specific names or characteristics?
They do. Let's start with one we're all familiar with, the persona.
A persona that rings a bell. This is the mask we wear, right? The face we present to the world depending on the situation.
Exactly. We all adapt our behavior to fit in, to meet social expectations. Think about how you act at work versus with close friends, different personas for different scenarios.
It's so true. We're constantly shifting and adapting. But what happens when those masks we wear start to feel at odds with our true selves?
That's where things get interesting. Jung argued that by over-identifying with our persona, we risk repressing parts of ourselves, those aspects that don't fit the image we're trying to project. And this leads us to another powerful archetype, the shadow.
Ooh, this is the one I've been waiting for. Everybody loves a little shadow work, right? Tell us more about this darker side of ourselves.
Well, the shadow is often seen as the villain of our inner world, representing those parts of ourselves we deem unacceptable, the negative traits we try to hide from the world, and even from ourselves.
So all those repressed desires, fears, and impulses, they all get bundled up in the shadow. No wonder it's a bit menacing.
Precisely. But here's the thing. The shadow isn't inherently bad. In fact, Jung believed it holds incredible potential for growth and creativity.
Wait, really? How can our darkest impulses be a source of positive transformation?
Think about it. By acknowledging and integrating our shadow, instead of denying its existence, we gain a more complete understanding of ourselves. We tap into a raw, unfiltered source of energy and insight that can fuel our creative expression and help us break free from limiting patterns.
So it's about befriending our demons, not trying to banish them entirely.
Exactly. It's through integrating those shadow aspects that we move towards wholeness. And this ties into another important concept in Jungian psychology, the idea that our personalities are not static, but rather engaged in a dynamic interplay between opposing forces.
Like a constant push and pull.
Precisely. Jung described this as the dance between progression and regression. Progression is our outward drive to adapt to the world, to achieve, to succeed. Regression, on the other hand, is the inward pull to reflect, to connect with our inner world, our unconscious.
So it's like finding that balance between engaging with the outer world and nurturing our inner landscape.
Absolutely. And this balance plays a crucial role in our psychological development. If we're constantly pushing forward without taking time for reflection, we risk becoming one-sided, disconnected from our true selves. Conversely, if we're overly focused on our inner world, we might struggle to engage with the outer world effectively.
It's about finding that sweet spot, that equilibrium between those two forces.
Mhm.
And this reminds me of Jung's work on psychological types. Didn't he believe our personalities are also shaped by different functions and attitudes?
You're exactly right. Jung proposed that in addition to our outward behavior, which he categorized as introversion or extroversion, our personalities are also influenced by four primary functions: thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition.
Okay, break those down for us. How do these functions shape how we interact with the world?
Think of them as different lenses through which we perceive and process information. Thinking types, for example, prioritize logic and reason. They analyze situations objectively, weighing evidence carefully before making decisions. Feeling types, on the other hand, make decisions based on values and empathy. They're attuned to the emotional nuances of situations and prioritize harmony in their relationships.
That makes sense. So how about sensation and intuition?
Sensing types are grounded in the present moment. They rely on their five senses to gather concrete information and prefer practical, hands-on experiences. Intuitives, on the other hand, are drawn to abstract ideas and possibilities. They trust their gut instincts and often see patterns and connections that others miss.
It's fascinating how these functions shape our perceptions and interactions. So does Jung suggest we have one dominant function that dictates our personality?
While we each have a natural inclination towards certain functions, Jung believed that a healthy psyche strives for balance and integration of all four. He argued that by developing our less dominant functions, we become more well-rounded individuals, capable of navigating a wider range of experiences.
It's like leveling up our mental and emotional skill set. So how does this all tie back to the bigger picture of Jungian psychology? Where does this journey of self-discovery ultimately lead us?
Jung called this ultimate destination individuation, the process of becoming a whole, integrated self.
Individuation. It sounds like more than just self-improvement. It's like a deeper evolution of the self.
Exactly.
It's like really becoming who we're meant to be.
Yeah, and Jung believed that individuation is a lifelong journey of integrating our conscious and unconscious minds, embracing those opposing forces within us,
Okay.
the light and shadow, the
Yes.
masculine and feminine, the rational and intuitive. It's about becoming a unique and whole individual,
Right.
realizing our full potential.
So it's not about achieving some perfect, idealized version of ourselves,
Right.
but rather embracing all the messy, contradictory parts of who we are.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that those parts we often try to hide or deny are essential to our growth and wholeness. Jung believed that it's in those dark corners, in confronting our shadow selves, that we often discover our greatest strengths and creative potential.
So how do we actually embark on this journey of individuation?
Wow.
Are there specific steps we can take, or is it more of an unfolding process?
Jung believed it's a bit of both. While there's no one-size-fits-all roadmap, he did develop powerful techniques for exploring the unconscious
Right.
and integrating those hidden aspects of ourselves. One of his most well-known techniques is dream analysis.
Dreams have always held a certain mystique. How did Jung approach dream interpretation?
He saw dreams as more than just random firings of neurons. He believed they were a direct line to the unconscious, rich with symbolic language that once deciphered could provide profound insights into our waking lives. He encouraged his patients to engage with their dreams, to explore the feelings and symbols that arose, and to look for recurring motifs or archetypes.
So those late-night scribbles in our dream journals
Mm-hmm.
might actually hold the keys to deeper self-understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Were there other techniques he used to access the unconscious?
Absolutely. Another fascinating one is the word association test.
Okay.
It sounds deceptively simple,
Yeah.
but it can be incredibly revealing.
How's it work?
You're presented with a word and you say the very first word that pops into your mind, no matter how silly or unrelated it might seem.
Uh-huh.
Jung believed that those seemingly random associations could reveal hidden complexes or emotional charges we might not even be aware of.
It's like our subconscious mind is revealing itself through those spontaneous connections.
Exactly. And then there's active imagination, which is a bit more involved,
Okay.
but incredibly powerful.
Active imagination. Sounds intriguing.
Imagine taking a dream image, a feeling, or any strong impression, and actively engaging with it through your imagination.
Okay.
You might have a dialogue with it, create a story around it, or even step into its world.
Wow.
The key is to approach it with an attitude of curiosity and openness, allowing the unconscious to speak through these symbolic forms.
So it's like giving those unconscious contents a voice, a way to express themselves and reveal their wisdom.
Precisely.
Wow.
Jung believed that by bringing those unconscious contents into the light of consciousness, we could begin to integrate them, to heal old wounds, and to access the vast creative potential that lies within.
This has been an incredible deep dive. Jung's work can feel complex and nuanced, but you've done a fantastic job of making it accessible and applicable to our everyday lives.
It's been my pleasure. Jung's ideas are as relevant today as they were a century ago, maybe even more so in our fast-paced, often overwhelming world.
Absolutely. If our listeners are feeling inspired to explore Jung's work further, we'll be sure to link to some resources in our show notes. And remember, you don't have to become a Jungian scholar to benefit from his insights.
That's right. Even a basic understanding of archetypes, the shadow self, or the power of dreams can offer profound benefits for personal growth and self-discovery.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Jungian psychology, is there one final takeaway you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important takeaway is this. The journey of self-discovery is a lifelong adventure. There will be twists and turns, light and shadow, but it's embracing the fullness of who we are that we discover our true potential.
Beautifully said. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Carl Jung. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deeper into the mysteries of the human experience.